one skin max set or two skin spreads. Here's the math they don't show you, and this is something that I think a lot in Call of Dragons. I'm not gonna lie, right now I'm going to push for the mage skin. I have decent amount of speed ups. Let's start from there. I have like, let's say 2.8k days. This is a decent amount of days, and for sure is going to give me the city skin. I mean 30 million. But here comes the question, should I actually compete for adornments next to the city skin? For the people who don't know what is this, we're talking about when you get the legendary skin, you have chance to get the adornment, which is in this case for the infantry city skin. Honestly, it's looking absolutely awesome, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, look, the default one is it's looking like this, but yeah, when you get the adornment, it starts shining. So I start questioning myself. Obviously I'm going to maybe go up to 40 million, and should I actually go for a single city skin? Obviously it's going to be the mage one, it's not going to be the infantry one. Or should I actually just hit 30 million, get the 6 tokens? If I get lucky to go in the top 10, I get. If I don't get lucky, I don't. But should I actually do that, or save like maybe 7-10 million power boost that I can actually do and go for the second skin? Obviously it's not going to be the mage city skin again. Why this question actually arise in my head? Obviously back in the days when we was getting the first skin, it was for the mages, and it was just magic unit attack 10%. So we're talking about extra 5% from the normal epic skins. I think the epic skins is giving like 5% HP, attack, and etc. But for the legendary one, we're getting extra 5% if you get the city skin. Right now we're having also activational status, which is giving extra 2%. Obviously here we don't have any adornment, but so let's jump over the city skin that is having something like this, or maybe the cavalry one. I really like the crown going up. So we're having like 12 extra extra stats. It can be 2% attack or 5% HP, didn't actually matter. We're getting 7% in form of boost for our legion, and if I go for adornment, it's extra 3%. So I'm getting 7% just by getting the city skin. Obviously it's going to boost all the legions, this is one of the things, and it's going to give 5% HP for the cavalry. Is going to be the same for the mages. So I'm start thinking actually go for the 2 city skins. The reason behind is I don't plan to go mage main forever. What I mean by that, right now I'm going to push. Obviously I'm going to push a lot of mages. By looking my legions, I have like 1.2 million celestials, 774k celestials tier 4. This is going to become tier 5. Celestials is going to become 2 million. If I push extra 1 million celestials, I'm not quite sure I'm going to be able to do it, but yeah, let's say I get like 500k more tier 5 celestials, and I bring all the troops to tier 5. Now on the next push or on the next training, I already have like 2.5 million celestials, and most likely when I turn the vestals, which is 500k, let's say, into the tier 5 vestals, I'm going to get like 1.4 million vestals. So from this point I'm start thinking I have just enough mages. This is so much mages. Yeah, some people are having like 5 million, 7 million, 10 million, but I plan to also spread to the cavalry. Why I'm doing that? Because cavalry artifacts is so easy to be get. We're having I'm having Kingslayer. If I go to Kingslayer level 5, I got Sorwan Blade level 5. I got, where is the Spring Blade? Spring Blades I have level 2, and Spring Blade is in the Titan Legacy, so for sure this thing is going to go level 5. So I can make at least like 3 cavalry legions. So if I go all in on the mage skin, this is going to, you know, and I push like extra 7, maybe 10 million more power. This is 1/3 from the next city skin, which, you know, start rising some question in my head. Should I actually go that hard for the mage skin just for one adornment that is giving extra 3%, and the city skin is giving 7% extra? If I have like 2 city skins, if I go with cavalry and not actually using mages, or I can go with infantry with cavalry, etc., one infantry legion with, for example, spirit bone torque, and go with 3 cavalry with very nice artifacts, just hitting this, going to the battlefield or returning from the battlefield to mages and marksmen. I think I'm going to be extremely valuable, first of all, for my alliance, and second, there's going to be rain from merits. And honestly, the only players I actually fear is a cavalry one, just because they're striking and doing so much damage. Sometimes I just, yeah, I was going to share strategy I do when I get struck by the cavalry, but maybe this is going to be for some other video. So subscribe if you're interested in this type of stuffs. But the city skin is just city skins, it's just going to give me more stuffs in general and give me the opportunity to play with 2. For example, if I get 2 city skins, I'm going to be able to play with 2 troops and have a city skin related to this troop. Because if I get, let's say this is a mage one, getting 10% HP for the mages, and all the legions is getting 2%. If I want to go for the cavalry one, obviously I have this one, which is having adornment that I have never seen when this thing actually arrive, but it's giving so less. It's not 2% here, it's 0.5%. It's not 10% here, it's like 5%. So it starts feeling, I don't know, guys, let me know in the comments what you think. Should you spend and go for 40 million for a single city skin, or you wanna have like 2 city skins and actually switch between these city skins depending on what kind of troop you're playing? Obviously, I'm not having like crazy amount of cavalry right now. I'm having like 1.1k and 1.6k tier 5, but this thing is going to be a tier 5. So, you know, I'm going to put them very fast in the hospital, but I plan to increase the amount of cavalry I'm having. So the moment I hit like 2.5 million Celestials and 1.5 million Vestos, I don't see any reason. I actually don't think I'm going to spend for more tier 5 Vestos. I think like 1.3, 1.4 million Vestos is enough, because I mainly run Celestials, and Vestos is just to do the 20% HP buff to my legions. So at one point I'm not going to need Celestials that much in mages, and also the mana of the mages is way more hard to be gone, just because mages are hitting from a distance. You can refresh more faster, for example at 50% or at 40%, and it's not going to take you this 10 stamina to begin with. But if I jump with the cavalry, everything is going in the hospital and I am going to lose a lot of stamina. And I'm not going, but at the same time I'm going to be in great support for my alliance that are looking also for infantry. Maybe I can actually go and save for some city skin for infantry, even though that right now we already have like HP infantry, or we already have the defense infantry. Most likely the next one is going to be the attack of infantry. I'm not quite sure I really want to go with infantry attack, so I'm thinking about the cavalry, maybe defense cavalry. This one is attack one, this one is HP, so we are missing actually the defense cavalry right now in Call of Dragons. Now, do the small buff add? Yeah, definitely this 2% is very, very important. People are going wild for 1 or 2%, especially the hardcore players or try-hard players. Every percentage matter. 0.5% if you have a chance to get it, just get it. They are like this. So these small buffs that I see, this 2% in extra, is something absolutely crazy. Now, should I actually play with multiple troops? This is obviously the question, and Actually, no, I'm not going to be able to play with multiple troops just because every hero is so hard to be leveled up, to be star up. If you're well or maybe Kraken, you may actually afford that. But if you're a WoW spender, I'm so happy that I make my Thunderlin Awakened. Yesterday I make Thunderlin Awakened, and I'm so proud of that. And I also have like Mu Awakened, I have Te Awakened, I have couple legions, but still all of my legions is not fully awakened. I miss which heroes I actually don't have awakened. If I go out of castle and I'm deploying what most likely I'm going to play next season, I have Bertrand Tohar awakened, Lilia Te awakened, Thunderlin Mu awakened, and Wodier with Velen awakened. Now, no joke, this combo is also very nice with Zephyr Firedrak. That is hitting multiple targets. This is pure AoE damage dealer. Maybe exception is Bertrand Tohar, they're single target, but you know, this pet is just going to apply some extra damage taken, so I'm going to count a lot over AoE. Obviously the last spot is going to be for my infantry Goresh with Kuma. This is going to be the infantry I'm going to use there. So far I actually awake my heroes, and I actually can start thinking about some cavalry heroes to awake. Obviously I'm waiting the generation 4 mages, don't get me wrong. I really want to see these mages. It's shame that generation 1 mages still outperformed generation 2 and generation 3 mages. It's just crazy. I mean, normally should have some kind of power creep, you know, the next hero to be one idea better from the next one, which is going to be, I mean, the next hero is going to be better from the previous one. Sorry about that. So, you know, you have this power creep in this game, so the people have a reason to buy these heroes. But, you know, with the mages, we're not having that. So I have huge expectation for generation 4, and most likely we're going to see how the things will go there. But I definitely plan to... Bakshi is close to be awakened. I mean, not that close. It's like 5-5, 3-4. So we're needing like 3 extra skills. I need like 3 tokens, and Bakshi is going to be like 5-5-5-3. I'm not quite sure I actually need that 3 here. But yeah, also Emrys is on the decent position to be awakened. Yo, this is generation 1 heroes. I really don't understand why it takes so long to awake this type of heroes that is basically power creeped by many other heroes. Still, Emrys is one of the best heroes in Call of Dragons for the infantry. From there, I plan to go for Urak, maybe Tobin. I'm going to go. I invest a little in the Tudor. It's like 5-1-1-1, and Forundil. Forundil is like 5-4-4-1. So yeah, I spent a little here. But after the mages, most likely is going to be Kuma, the hero that I'm going to level up or skill up. Right now I'm just start going with my dailies over the Kuma. I just finished Thunderlin, just to mention that. So right now is going to be the Kuma, and if I get Wookiee spin, I'm going to make like 10 spins there and get like 5 extra hits for my Kuma. And if I get lucky, maybe I'm going to get more hits from the spins. The good thing about the Wookiee spin is you get 3 free spins, and if you get like 7 more spins, for sure you're going to get like 5 hits there. So this dilemma is actually eating me inside. What I'm going to do with the mage skin? Should I actually go with the adornments, or should I actually spend on 2? We're going to see how the things will go with the pushes. If 30 million is enough to get the city skin and be in the top 10, which you know is very hard. It's going to be very hard. A lot of whales actually start joining the small alliances. People are not looking the top alliances like 30 billion or something like this. The main reason behind is there is just a lot of dramas and not so fun KVKs on the top. I was there and I'm not so happy from what was going on there. So yeah, we're going to see how the things will go, and let me know in the comments what you guys think. Should you go for 1 city skin with adornment, or should you actually go for 2 city skins? Obviously this is not like It's still going to need time to collect the speed ups to actually push for the second city skin, so it's going to be time consuming, and you're going to have some speed ups that is going to be not that valuable. But at the same time, if you push for adornment, you may not even get the adornment. Let's start from there. There is some crazy whales willing to spend some crazy money over these whole things. So yeah, I'm in little dilemma. Most likely you're going to see my decision when the event actually arrives in Cow Dragons. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe to his channel, guys. Also, like the video if you have the same dilemma from time to time. Should you actually go with one thing and put a lot of investment in one thing, or should you actually go with two things that is going to be something on average, but is going to be extremely helpful in general? So yeah, see you in the next video. Have a great day.